Before I begin, I'd like to thank everybody for their support on the first video. Everybody's feedback was very helpful. The detailed and insightful comments I got, those were honestly really helpful, helping me understand, uh, how, I shouldn't say how, but who the matchmaking issue is affecting, right? And also was that, the occasional troll comment, right? Get good. Almost like the guy didn't watch the video and hear the argument about like how the matchmaking system is, not necessarily preventing people, but it's kind of in the way when it comes to I guess preventing is the right word, preventing people from improving and progressing in the game at a good rate. But whatever, I guess. To the people, thanks to the support, for the support on that video, and thank you to everybody who gave actual like good feedback. And if at any point you disagree with me in any of my videos, please feel free to say what's on your mind in the comments below. In my first video, I talked about issues with the current matchmaking system. I know I made it sound like it was the biggest issue ever, when in reality it's just a piece of the bigger picture. The same goes with this issue I want to bring to light today. It's not the biggest problem COD has right now, but it's still an important problem that is worth talking about. COD has an AI problem. It's obvious that Activision started using AI for certain things in BO6. As far as we know, and we can tell, during BO6's life cycle, they were using AI to design prestige icons and create promotional material for BO6 and Warzone. A very clear example of this is the six-finger AI zombie Santa that was used to promote zombies. And you would think that even with all the backlash the AI promotional material received, that Activision would learn their lesson and use real artists to make their game better. But with the launch of BO7, it's clear they just doubled down. Prestige icons were clearly made using AI again, and calling cards are now being made with AI. Those Studio Ghibli, or Ghibli, however you pronounce it, right? Those Studio Ghibli looking AI filter calling cards you might have seen before on YouTube or Twitter or somewhere else, right? This shows, those are real. Like, it's not just like a meme. Those are real. And this obviously shows how greedy and lazy Activision and the other dev teams working on COD really are. They're just trying to spend as little money as possible making their game, and at the same time hope it makes the same amount of money, if not more, because obviously they're trying to spend less money and make more. And they think this is a great way of doing that, but it's not, right? And the problem with AI art as well is that it's replacing real artists that make these games great in the first place. Obviously, fire the artists that don't do their jobs and are terrible, get rid of them, right? But it's not like every single artist is so bad that you have to replace them with AI, right? It's clear that the lack of artists is impacting the game right now. And before anyone says anything like they're just using AI for dumb ads, they're just prestige icons and calling cards, who cares? Or maybe even it's not like they're using AI for coding the main game, right? But let me ask you, what makes you think they wouldn't use AI for developing main parts of the game? There is another very rich and greedy company that I'm sure everybody knows about, EA. And they have been under fire for actually trying to use AI for coding and other tasks of the sort. Their internal, I think it's internal AI, yeah, their internal AI tool that they're using for coding reportedly generates code incorrectly, and the regular, normal human developers have to go back in and fix the issues the AI created in the first place. So, what does this mean? Right? In my opinion, it means the usage of AI for coding is causing developers to waste time fixing issues the AI created. Now, ask yourself again, why wouldn't Activision try to push these AI coding tools onto their own devs? They're already using AI to not only save on resources, to save on money, right? Judging Activision's track record, something like this would be very typical of them. This would also partially explain, I should say, the current state of COD. The time that devs need to work on the game, being robbed by mistakes being made with AI, would explain, how unauthentic and kind of lazy the game feels right now with its art direction. Man, I mean, this is crazy. I would have never thought in my life that I would be, talking about AI and COD in the same rant. Can you imagine also the product that they're capable of making? Can you imagine a better COD that they could make if devs could work at their own pace, of course, right? And of course, also, like, not have to use unnecessary tools and time wasting tools like AI. And I know, I made it sound like, I presented this problem and I'm making it sound like I got the solution of this at the end of the video. And the truth is, we all know the solution to this. It's an easy way to, you know, truthfully reverse this problem. The truth is, I don't think many people are going to like it. The main people at Activision, pulling the strings behind everything COD related, aren't great people, and they're not going to stop doing things like these, doing stuff like this. And honestly, buying BO7 is kind of a fuck you to artists in a way if you think about it, because of all the AI that they're trying to use now. At the end of the day, money talks the most with people like this. So if people can stop buying the new COD, hopefully we can see the return of artists that make COD as great as it was in the first place. Now, that being said, people are still going to buy the new COD regardless of everything wrong with it nowadays. Or is that the case? COD is definitely a committed fan base that's almost cult-like in a way. Kind of scary, honestly. But even then, BO7 hasn't sold well in comparison to other new-gen CODs before it. And not only that, by the looks of it, people weren't even playing the past CODs that much at all. I want to take a look at the some of the past COD titles. Like MW2 2022, it sold around 16.7 million copies, I believe, which is pretty good, right? But the game didn't have great player retention. Most people stopped playing the game, stopped playing that COD specifically entirely around February. And BO6 is the best-selling COD of all time. Yeah, last year's COD, Black Ops 6, was the best-selling COD. There's not an exact number, but it's believed to be over 500 million copies sold. But at the same time, it has the worst player retention out of any COD. Most of the player base dipped in the beginning of December. And if you haven't noticed already, there's a pattern with this. I think the COD player base is tired of being overhyped for what seems to be, in their eyes, a nothing burger. BO7 is not a failure. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to this is what, old CODs, this happened with them. I'm not saying that's BO7 necessarily with its sales and player retention. In my opinion, it might have actually a great player retention because of its low sales. The little people playing it are probably, huge fans of COD, super fans. They're probably going to play the game the entire year, so it might have great player retention. It might be the opposite. I already talked about, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that it's 100% obviously not doing good. BO7 is not doing good. And maybe with this, because obviously people aren't buying the new COD. This is the first time in a long time, probably since Vanguard, that, well, that's not really a long time, is it now? Okay, but even then, Vanguard still, even then had bad player retention, but still sold really well, right? It's kind of a pattern with this. I think that's the pattern. Overall, these people stay in tune to buy these new CODs, but they just spend an annual $60-$70, but they just check out pretty quickly if you think about it. And I think this year people, they're not buying BO7 because they're just done. They're done with the franchise. And like I said earlier, money talks the most with, people the higher ups at Activision. And, BO7 not performing well, financially. I think this might actually, force the Activision, higher ups at Activision that deal with COD, to start, maybe the gears, maybe you can force the gears in their heads to start turning, right? Maybe they can start thinking that, what they're doing is only good in a business standpoint, with they're just trying to monetize everything to the best of their ability, right? So maybe it can finally force them to think, and say hey, maybe what we're doing is only good in a business standpoint. Maybe our players actually don't like what we're doing. And obviously this is only one issue. Obviously, and it's a newer issue too, one of the newer issues that COD has, in my opinion, but it's still an issue nonetheless, and it's affecting COD, and it's a part of the reason why people just don't like COD anymore. And maybe with the low sales of BO7, Activision can kind of wake up to what's going on. And the thing is, the COD player base has the power to make a change. We can force Activision to make our franchise better. The worst thing people can do right now with the new COD is not talk about the current issues surrounding it. Bringing attention to these problems can maybe one day force Activision, hopefully, to do something about COD right now. And before I end this video, I want to mention how dev teams that work on COD, like Treyarch, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Raven, are as responsible as Activision for the current state of COD. I know, admittedly, it'd be very difficult for them to make changes to how they're developing and taking care of the games currently, but by the looks of it right now, their plans basically like perfectly aligned with Activision's when it comes to making these newer CODs. I mean, they're not doing anything different. They're not trying to do anything different. They're not trying. I'm not saying they should be going against their boss. Like, I'm not trying to say that, but I'm not saying like they're not. It looks like everyone's on the same page. Like, they're supporting not only all the good things that they're doing, but also all the bad things they're doing. Crazy voice crack. All the bad things they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And like, yes, once again, it's not the biggest problem that COD has right now. It's just a piece of the bigger picture, but a piece nonetheless, a problem nonetheless. It's still a problem that deserves light shed on it. And as the COD player base, we deserve better, and we shouldn't just be eating up slop like this that they're giving us. And hey, if you disagree with anything I've said in the video, or want to add on to anything I've said, please share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Your insight is always appreciated and helpful when it comes to making these videos better, and overall helps me better understand how the COD player base feels about these issues. With all that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.